For whatever reason, when I think about modern Doom, I can't help but return to an oddly specific moment. One of many when I was around 14 years old, listening to the now long buried and cancelled YouTuber Levy's here bully his next victim with, what do you know, that at the time, fresh modern Doom 2016 gameplay behind it. And as a choice of gameplay for a commentary video, you couldn't exactly get more authentic than Doom, the franchise that inspired so much that came after it. Oh, hold on. While gaming commentary videos typically focus on something unrelated to the game itself, we're gonna do quite the opposite, because over the past few weeks I've been trying to understand what the story of Doom is all about, including the newest in the series, the Dark Ages. But in this video I'm gonna explain it in a way that doesn't waste any time, yet still has the depth needed to flesh out the big picture. I mean, why is the Doomslayer so powerful? What does the newest Dark Ages game actually add to the story in the grand scheme of things? And is this giant flame-spitting dragon really a better pet than a rabbit? Let me know in the comments below. Hold on, what's that sound? Oh, I'm home. Alright, without further delay, let's get into the full story of Doom. The start of Doom's story more or less has us in an alternate history parallel to our real world. A pretty massive organization called the Union Aerospace Corporation, or UAC, was advanced enough to set up a main base on Mars and its two moons, Phobos and Deimos, for secret military research in the year 2022. In the process of establishing interdimensional travel, they made a gateway between the moons, which was pretty convenient. Most of their projects early on resulted in disasters, but they just kept trying to find some kind of breakthrough. Their experiments eventually led to a distress call sent from the Phobos base, claiming something evil was coming out of their gateway, and soon after, the other moon, Deimos, outright disappeared from orbit. Now, zooming out, our lovely Doom guy, that you should know by now, actually just started out as a regular Marine, and was sent to Phobos to support them after he got in trouble for assaulting his commanding officer that had told him to indulge in a bit of war crimes. Doom guy was not having any of it, and so he was sent to Phobos, Knights of the Black Watch type shit. After a group went to the gateway to defend it against whatever might come through, everyone was wiped out, except for the Marine. As any reasonable person would, he entered the portal to hell and was promptly ambushed by demons, getting knocked unconscious before waking up on the missing moon of Deimos. After defeating some guy called the Cyber Demon, it's revealed the moon of Deimos was captured by hell itself, now floating above it. So he repels down to the surface, fights a bunch of demons, and finds a big fucking gun. Long story short, he then reaches the capital city of Hell, fights the Spider Demon, and ends Hell's invasion before stepping through a portal back to Earth and witnessing a gruesome sight. Stuck to a pike in the middle of fucking nowhere, I guess, is his pet rabbit Daisy's head. The demons were trying to make this really personal. Fueled with rage, he goes on to fight through the hordes that have just invaded Earth. But he sees that most of Earth's cities have already been overrun by the forces of Hell, and the world leaders have come up with a plan to evacuate the remaining people of Earth into space. But the demons erect a barrier to stop humans from escaping the planet via its only spaceport, and a group of Marines along with Doom Guy go to take it back. Everyone dies except Doom Guy, of course, and he finds another portal going back to Hell, so he's like, cool. Then he casually finds the source of the demons, the Icon of Sin, which is a pretty important recurring entity moving forward. The Marine kills it, for now, ending Earth's invasion and finishing off the rest of Hell's forces on Earth. Eventually, a signal is picked up from the Mars UAC facility, which tells them that there's some demonic entity that can resurrect demons. So they freak out and send the military. Doom Guy kills some kind of mother demon, and after slaying the goth mommy, he's literally so fed up with this shit, he's like, alright, this time, I'm gonna kill for the rest of eternity. So after going through the portal, he closes it, staying in hell and vowing to eternally fight the demons so they can't fucking mess with humanity anymore. Yeah, so about that, it turns out there's a sister to the Mother of Demons called the Resurrector, and she gets really pissed, so she brings the Marine outside of Hell to a UAC base and tries to trap him. Of course, he kills everything and then tries to claw his way back to Hell in an experience I can only imagine is similar to when you get out of a pool, but the air is colder than the water as you're frantically trying to get back in. Ultimately, Doom Guy kills the Resurrector and at last continues through his path to doom, to rip and tear in hell for the rest of eternity. But as it turns out, not really. because eventually he would wind up in a new place, somewhere that wasn't hell, nor even our realm. Welcome to... Now, we're gonna get into some entirely new realms. There's actually a couple, and I know this shit was a bit confusing for me at first, so I'll try and break it down so you can get the big picture. Before we go over it, though, I'm gonna get some water. Okay, I guess not.
Is that a demon on your face?
No, definitely not.
What is this demon writing?
No, dude, that's a script.
Read.
Yeah, sure. Just put the gun away, please. Before we continue with the Doom lore, let me tell you a little bit about this awesome game called Crystal of Atlan, launching May 28th. The gameplay in Crystal of Atlan is actually pretty cool. The exhilarating and fluid combat system offers seamless control over both skill casts and character movement, giving players a sense of effortless mastery. With multiple classes to choose from that are all unlocked from the start, each with over 20 skill combinations, there is ample room for you to experiment with your play. Oh, dude, what the hell? Crystal of Atlan is a magic punk MMORPG where players become part of the Adventurers Guild and explore the world of Atlan, uncovering the mystery of the crystals, which is basically the energy of the world.
Gaming guitar controllers, 6 consoles.
Oh, fuck! What the? Okay, face the chaos, purify the world, and uncover the secrets of crystals to bring peace to Atlan. If only I could have peace right now. But no, and instead, oh, great, there's another one. Huh. Why do I feel like Pyrocynical would be into this?
I'm not Fem Pyro.
Anyway, pre-register for Crystal of Atlan now. Sign up to claim exclusive rewards and unlock early access. The link is in the description. Hey.
What's with the mask? Are you scaly?
What's a scaly? Oh, hey, look, a demon. Unlike the hellish landscapes we see in Doom, the world of Atlan is a floating, mystical place of magic and machinery. Adventurers are roped into an epic journey to explore the magic tech metropolis. Hey, that's mine, no touching! With a global launch date of May 28th and a host of new classes, including the Fighter and Magician included in the 11 available classes you could play, Crystal of Atlan is something you need to check out. Oh! God damn it! How many of them are there?
Demons. Where are they?
I don't have anything to do with...
Are you mortally challenged?
The game is releasing on Google Play, App Store, PlayStation, and PC.
Demons. I smell them.
Alright, maybe now we can get back to the video. Wait, why am I still in chains? Okay, so the other realms. Basically, you've got the normal plane of existence with Earth and the other planets, and very, very far away and somewhere unknown, you got a planet called Argent Denur, which is going to be really important, but it's most certainly nowhere near Earth. Then you got the other two realms. Everybody knows Hell, but then on the other hand, there's Heaven, or, well, kind of Heaven. See, it's called Urdok. Long ago, it was said that a figure known as the Father basically made most of the universe, at least what we're aware of existing. So with that said, let's turn our attention to the other planet I just mentioned. Long ago, in a galaxy far, far away, the planet of Argent Denur was not too unlike our own Earth. It used to be a medieval world of knights and kings until a world spear impaled it and tore reality apart. As a result, these ancient godlike beings called elemental wraiths came out of the hole, bringing with them magic. The wraiths gave magic to the people of Argent Denur, and eventually the humans here would come to be known as the Argenta. They liked to fight, and they forged a kingdom through their love for violence, with their highest-ranking soldiers being known as Knight Sentinels. Although the Argenta worshipped only the wraiths until now, that would change when a new type of entity called the Makers arrived from an entirely different realm, led by the one they called the Con Maker. The Makers offered the Argenta people some kind of eternal peace in their realm known as Urdok, in exchange for the Argenta's faith. The people were like, yeah, okay, sure. And soon after, the Argenta people wielded both magic and machines by following their new gods. Now, conflict emerges when the Father fought against the Lord of Hell, and both of them delivered mutually assured destruction to each other, destroying each of their physical bodies. But their essences remained. The Father's essence being stored in something called a life sphere contained inside a temple in the Urdok realm. Now, even though the Father had bitch-slapped the Lord of Hell, demons were still very much doing mostly whatever they wanted, and so they started invading Argent Denur, which led to the Knight Sentinels going to war. As demons were flooding through portals onto Argent-D'Nur, that's where our good friend Mr. Doom Guy emerged. Bro had been ripping and tearing for who knows how long, and after the Argenta captured him, they realized he was potentially something worth using as a weapon, at the very least. They had him fight in a coliseum, and then they were like, yeah, this guy's pretty good. So he joins their ranks and helps them to fight more demons, now joining his newfound buddies. Over time, the Argenta came to respect him deeply, and I mean, how could you not? He just refuses to die, not because he's afraid of death, but because if he died, he wouldn't be able to continue rapidly increasing his kill count. Becoming a Sentinel himself, he earns the title of the Doom Slayer. Now remember how the father had his life essence stored in a temple in Urdok? Well, said temple was overseen by a maker guard, Samur, otherwise referred to as the Seraphim. He was tasked with protecting the father's life sphere, and after learning about the Doomslayer, he decided to pull a Giga Chad maneuver and, against higher orders, gave the Slayer a godlike power through something called the Divinity Machine. With newfound inhuman capabilities and physical prowess, the Doomslayer would be a contingency of sorts in the case that Urdok wasn't strong enough against the forces of hell to protect the father's life sphere. From there, Mr. Slayer was contained and put on a leash, overseen by this fucking balloon they call the Bishop Creed Maker. From here on, the Slayer was to be used as a guard dog, and oh boy, this guard dog would not be on a leash for long. While Hell didn't have their Dark Lord in his physical form, they were still able to make some technological innovations, namely by converting souls of the damned into something they called essence. After the Makers learned about the essence, and that when combined with the Argenta's wraith power, it could ultimately be made into something called Argent Energy, they got a little excited. The Argent Energy would allow the Makers to unlock their own immortality, and the Con Maker went behind the scenes to collaborate with Hell. The Makers would refine Argent Energy in this place where they kept all the wraiths called the Well, and Hell could send as many demons as they wanted to any worlds that the Con ruled over, like, for example, Argent-D'Nur. And that is where the latest game, Doom: The Dark Ages, begins. After ruling the Argenta people for over 40 years, King Novik proved himself to be a worthy leader, deserving of accolades. But no matter how good of a leader Novik could be, nothing would fully prepare the Argenta people for the next series of attacks by their wider enemy. A mining city called Kalim is set upon by demons as one of many missions by Hell's appointed Prince Azrak, who wanted to badly crush his enemies no matter the cost. In the advisory of a creature known as the Witch, that originated from an entirely different dimension we know little about, Prince Azrak's main mission is to obtain something called the Heart of Argent, which was an artifact discovered long ago that contained the soul of the last wraith and could in theory be used to kill just about anything, like for example a certain Doomslayer. As Hell continues to wage war against the Argenta people, the Makers continue to put up the facade that they're trying to help this situation. A sentinel outpost on the planet of Hebeth is the next location attacked by waves from Hell's forces, and the Doomslayer is sent down by the Creedmaker to assist. Our Slayer fights his way through flesh and bones until making it into something called an Atlan, where he delivers massive damage to invading Titans. As it turns out, a nearby reactor has a big old power core that needs to be removed because it's going haywire and it's otherwise going to obliterate this whole city. I mean, this shit's basically an atomic bomb. So the Slayer rushes to a nearby strip mine and hurls the thing into the abyss in a crude but creative display that definitely sends a message. After just barely escaping the blast radius, the Doomslayer hops into a flying vehicle piloted by none other than King Novik's daughter, Commander Thera. She's rather important, and you'll find out why in due time. The explosion they just barely escaped coincides with surging demonic activity, and needless to say, things are not looking good. Especially because one of the Argenta scholars, Deeg Lorik, is being hounded for information by Prince Azrak about the heart of Argenta, which Lorik claims nobody can reach, doing his best to throw the prince off his trail. The Slayer then moves on to his next location to fight through on the planet of Argent-D'Nur, the Sentinel Barracks. Clearing out the settlement, he makes it to the holy city of Aratum, where the Slayer mounts his new best friend, Saret, a loyal doggo, giant lizard, that has a sick fucking saddle design. Like, actually, what the fuck? Whoever made this had way too much fun. The Slayer defends the city of Aratum atop his pal, and after obliterating countless more enemies and blowing up entire demonic ships, he heads to the Heart Chamber to ensure the enemy doesn't get their hands on the artifact. Prince Azrak and the Witch are already there, and the cosmic creates a barrier that Doom Guy stares at them through with the most menacing glare. Looks like bro's about to get the heart of Argent, but then King Novik appears, and he's like,
Ignite the charges.
Well, I don't even know what to say. That was just really badass. With the city of Artom having been evacuated and also very much not floating anymore, the Sentinels regroup at a temporary stronghold led by King Novik with his newly procured artifact. His daughter Thera tells him that the artifact would be safer in the hands of the Slayer, but he refuses to let it fall into the hands of the Makers, especially given the relic's potential to be a family heirloom. While the Sentinels continue to regroup and evacuate civilians, the demons begin closing in, and when the Maker drones ask the Creed if they should launch the Slayer to prevent the ensuing and very predictable slaughter that's about to take place, this happens.
Should we launch the Slayer now? The Sentinels will be overrun.
Then what about us?
The Slayer is not having any of this shit as he begins to sense people's fear while the demons close in rapidly. Then he breaks. While the Slayer starts punching his way out, a gigantic horde arrives with Prince Azrak at the helm. The Creedmaker decides to let the Slayer out after realizing the inevitability, and it's time to rip and tear. Novik is being beaten to a pulp before you arrive. As it turns out, the container for the Heart of Argent is empty. Later on, Doomguy has a little chat with Commander Thera, which necessarily means it's about as one-sided as talking to a brick wall, specifically one that's currently cleaning one of its many demon-slaying weapons. Thera explains that the Heart of Argent is actually technically two things, both the artifact and a long-dormant power source. If Prince Azrak were to get his hands on the Heart of Argent, he could wield the power of a god and even kill the Doomslayer. Broly's rather annoyed by this idea, so after Commander Thera urges him to head to a really big ancient forge, he does just that. They meet at the ancestral podium thing, and Thera does a little touchy-feely on it. This is a sick cutscene, what the fuck? So basically, Thera becomes the embodiment of the Heart of Argent after the power slithers its way inside. Why did I write that? The demons find out, and the witch is like, yo, I helped you find the Heart of Argent, so now return my god to us. And Prince Azrak, Giga Chad that he is like,
Close the gate.
the Slayer then heads into hell to go find Azrak, probably because he's fucking bored and wants to kill more demons, and eventually he reaches this chamber, but, oh, okay, Prince Azrak isn't actually here, he's trolling. Fast forward, the Slayer meets back up with the Sentinels at a command station, but, uh-oh, it's getting attacked. So then you gotta defend this whole ass fortress atop your dog, but, oh, would you look at that, right when it appears the demons are leaving, they pull a tentacle porn maneuver and abduct Commander Thera. Doomguy gives chase, but ultimately, goddamn, dude, if he was just a second earlier, the entire rest of this game probably wouldn't even need to happen. The Slayer then has to go to a long-buried deity under the ocean, but who the fuck wants to go swimming? So Doomguy pulls out the drain of the ocean and does that. Okay. Then he finds a pretty sick little crossbow that shoots nukes and awakes the beast, which just so happens to be Cthulhu. Doomguy hitches a ride and Cthulhu takes them into the cosmic realm, which is actually where the witch came from. On the way there, the Slayer loses his grip, which, I mean, you can't really blame him for it. Then we enter this insanely cool hole in a wall. What the fuck is happening? I feel like a small little poop flushing through the pipes. It's kind of relaxing. We fight our way through this so-called cosmic realm, following these gates while passing through some really sick set pieces until at last we finally step up to the final temple. Oh shit, we just got grabbed. Oh, wait, no, I've seen this on X videos. No! Doomguy gets vored, but he does not like vor, so he blows up Cthulhu's heart and heads into the temple where Thera is located. And
Her energy is too powerful, even for you. She has the spirit of an ancient sentinel god within her, a wraith. Here, her energy becomes fully realized. And it can be harnessed.
Alright, so they extract the Heart of Argent, and then Prince Azarak shoves it in his chest hole, and needless to say, it's over, bro. It's over. King Novik finally discovers that Bishop Creed Maker is sus, and Daddy's home? The Slayer wakes up, but it turns out he's imprisoned over a lake of acid by a bunch more of those Cthulhu fuckers. He's like, alright, well, I guess I'm gonna destroy my Tony Stark chest core thing, and it fucks everything up, causing him to fall into the lake of acid and fucking melt. So that's the story of Doom. Thanks for watching. Oh wait, hold on, let him cook.
Rip and tear until it is done.
Hey, you're back, but, oh, dear God. After fighting his way to what seems to be the literal front door to hell, he finds the doorman.
Payment required.
Payment. After breaking through the gates of hell on a fucking bone yacht. What is the physics of any, what is,
what color is your hell yacht, bro?
Bro. Doom Guy wakes up in this cool forest where his new objective is to, oh yeah, return to the mortal plane. This is totally me when I have to return to the mortal plane.
By blood right, we invoke the dark powers to call upon the damned.
Now that you've been resurrected, summoned like a straight up Dark Lord, you head into battle, going to find the Creed, who's been ghosting them up until now because this dude is clearly guilty. After you've had enough of this meat man's yapping, the Slayer finally finishes him off, and we move on to the final battle.
I can never rule as king, so long as you are the only one they fear.
No! You piece of fucking dog shit.
Are you all right?
Ezrak slithered off back to hell, so we are not fucking done. With Azrak dead, the demons mildly afraid, and the Slayer missing his eternal massacre, he walks back up to the Maker teleportation pad and prepares to launch. As the Dark Ages comes to a close, Doomguy returns to Hell once again to rip and tear. But oh, something ain't right. Looks like the Makers were not happy about Doomguy having gone against them, and they seal him in a fucking sarcophagus buried under the previously mentioned well that's like way in the depths of hell. Unlucky. Now at this point, our main man is just chilling in his involuntary sarcophagus, but this is where our old friend comes in. Remember the dude that protected the Father's sphere and also gave us godlike physical capabilities against the wishes of his superiors? Well, since his allegiances to the Makers have been a bit shaky and his priority lies within the Father, he actually snuck the life sphere out of Urdok to protect it from the now hellbent Makers. Samura couldn't just hang around looking and talking the same, since, he just fucking stole God's soul from heaven, so he assumed a new identity, putting his soul into a human body. This newish man's name was Dr. Samuel Hayden. After having gone to Earth and assuming his new identity, he had a plan in mind. Being this otherworldly sort of demigod with divine knowledge of the universe, magical energy, and machinery, it's not really a surprise he was able to become the chairman of, you guessed it, the UAC, pretty swiftly after starting as a low-level employee. Dr. Hayden began to run some hell-related operations in the UAC, namely with the discovery of the Argent energy his good old friends the Makers created before he skedaddled off with the Father Sphere. Eventually, they actually built some kind of tower on Mars that was able to harvest the Argent energy coming from what they called the Argent Portal. But as you remember, this stuff is pretty goddamn powerful. I mean, it was able to bridge the gap of mortality to immortality for the Makers, and perhaps even some Hellborn beings. Eventually, Samur's human body developed stage 4 brain cancer and did not have much time to live, as you'd expect. For us humans, a disease like that would prove to be fatal, but for this guy, of course he could just go to the main menu and create a new character like he's playing World of Warcraft. At some point not long after this, he took a piece of the Father's essence and turned it into a super AI that had a specific task in mind, to contain a hell invasion. This AI would go on to be known as Vega. Now the whole brain cancer thing may have just been a cover story, because since the Makers can't go into hell, and the same is true about the demons, who can't go into Urdok, or in other words heaven, Dr. Hayden could definitely get around this restriction by implanting his soul inside a robotic body, which would then allow that robotic body to go into hell. So continuing his operations in the UAC in his new body, he set off to find the sarcophagus buried deep in hell so he could yoink his old pal back, just in case he was gonna need him. And Doom 2016 starts us off with a rather familiar situation. A high-ranking staff member within the corporation named Olivia Pierce at some point came into contact with Hell, starting a cult within the UAC, and would even sacrifice other employees. Yeah, I think I'll just go work at McDonald's.
Oh God, you're so good.
Olivia's goal was to open a permanent portal to Hell and unleash a Lazarus wave, a wave of Argent energy, directly from Hell, which killed almost everyone at the base, and a number of unlucky corpses were reanimated into shambling humanoid demons. After she turned a lot of the people into these hellish zombie creatures, she enabled a full-scale Hell invasion on the Mars base, killing the remaining survivors aside from Samuel and you, of course. By Samur's hand, the Doomslayer arose from the unsealed sarcophagus, and after crushing the skull of the nearest demon with his bare hand, dapping up his homie Samur, and putting on his Praetor suit, he was finally awake and had a job to do. Through the course of Doom 2016, Dr. Samuel Hayden is actually assisting you through the facilities, but... Okay, I would be pretty grumpy too, waking up from a who knows how long nap in a sarcophagus, fermenting in the depths of hell. Our boy isn't really interested in talking to this guy right away, mainly because he didn't know that this Samuel Hayden guy is actually the Seraphim who gave him his divine powers. But as you guessed it, the Doomslayer rips and tears his way through the Mars base, leaving waste to any demon that dares to exist in his presence. A pretty cool detail you find throughout the game are these sort of notes all over that reminisce the legend of the Doomslayer, which feeds even more into the insane power trip this game gives you. I mean, if the game doesn't make you feel like a fucking unstoppable legend, I don't know what will. Our man eventually makes it to the Argent Tower's control room and carefully deactivates it. This was an effort to stop Olivia's plan, but it would be in vain as she had stored up some of the Argent energy in what's called an Argent accumulator, which she ruptured at the top of the Argent Tower, destroying it and ripping open a portal to Hell, which you and her are both sent through. After fighting our way back to the Mars portal, Samuel quickly lets us know that since we have a very small brain and smashed the control panel instead of turning the power off so she couldn't use it, the only way to disable the tower now is to deprive it of its power source, which is easier said than done. If you remember the place where the Makers refine all of the Argent energy, the well, now you're probably starting to see what I'm getting at. This would prove to be a difficult task, and needed some more basis and knowledge to act on. Samuel lets us know that everything the UAC learned about Hell, as of late, was from an artifact that Olivia kept in her office known as the Helix Stone. He also wants to meet us face to face, so he does, and he also installs a tether in our suit that allows us to be pulled back to him no matter where we are. Hayden hopes the Helix Stone knows some type of way to disable the well so they can get rid of the portal Olivia created, and tasks the Doomslayer to go and find it in Olivia's office. Once found, it flashes a vision in the Doomslayer's mind of another artifact, known as the Crucible, located in an area in Hell called the Titan's Realm. After grabbing another Argent accumulator from one of the facility specimens of Cyber Demon, we go back to Hell once again. Passing by a deceased icon of sin and fighting our way to the Crucible, we finally obtain the artifact capable of harnessing the well's power, freeing some of the Doomslayer's previous brothers-in-arms souls in the process. And then the only obstacle in the way now is finding a way to the well so we can actually use the Crucible, but thankfully the doc has a plan for that. Samuel gets us to use the Argent energy that's being used to power the CPU of ChatGPT, also known as God's Essence, and has us disable it, but not before we decide to make a backup, unbeknownst to Samuel. Upon doing so, another portal opens, and what lies in front of the Doomslayer are the fragmented ruins of a place we know all too well. Oh yeah, it's Argent Nur. A bunch of ripping and tearing later, the Doomslayer uses the Crucible to free the imprisoned wraiths, creating the Argent energy. On his way back to Mars, he stumbles upon Olivia, who's afflicted with lacerations and just bleeding everywhere. She turns into a spider demon, and we obliterate her. When you return back to Mars, our homeboy decides that he's not our homeboy anymore and tells the Doomslayer that he can't let him interfere with the research of Argent energy. He takes the Crucible from him, which turns out to be an energy sword of some kind, and teleports him to an unknown location. And that is the end of Doom 2016. But it then leads us directly to fast forward some amount of time, and the Slayer managed to come across a Maker-inspired Argentinoran space stronghold known as the Fortress of Doom, in which he installed the copy of Vega he made back on Mars before he had blown Vega's facility up. What also happened during this time was a couple power-shifting events within the UAC and Earth. Samuel had stepped down as the chairman of the UAC, and it quickly was overtaken by the demonic cult members, as those still loyal to Olivia Pierce would prove their persistence. To make things worse, a couple of Hell Priests partnered with the UAC, and specifically Deeg Rennek went on to lead the new corrupted organization. The Hell Priests were being led, ultimately, by our old friend the Khan Maker, and it was at this point that Earth was thrusted into the most awful situation it had found itself in thus far. Most of humanity was wiped out, and to combat the impending doom, Samuel returned back to Earth and met with the Allied Nations, the AN, and formed the Armored Response Coalition, or ARC, which Samuel was put at the head of. Hell was back on Earth and stronger than ever. Sammer, or Samuel's robot body, had eventually been killed, but his cortex was still intact, so part of his body alongside the Crucible had been stored in an ARC facility, though nobody on Earth could actually understand this technology, which, by the way, was created by God himself, so his consciousness couldn't really be recovered. He just kind of sat there like an old Wii with the sports disc still inside that you shove behind your new Switch. In Earth's most desperate moment, none other than the Slayer rolls up and has Vega make a portal to a distress call within the United States. A few rips and tears later, and the first of the 3 Hell Priests the Slayer would come across claims his soul is guarded, only to have the hope in his eyes fade as the Slayer shows him otherwise.
You. My soul remains guarded. You can't.
Eventually, the Slayer then comes across a portal to his citadel where the other two are having a meeting with the Khan Maker. He shows them the fate of their fellow Hell Priest, instilling fear before they teleport away. The Khan Maker then has a word with the Slayer, but frankly, he doesn't give a shit what she has to say.
Please chance to repent, to give service to us. You cannot resist the will of the Khan Maker.
Activating the portal now.
For it was you who was meant to enforce it.
With the objective in sight, Vega instructs the Slayer on how to find a device known as a Celestial Locator, which he needs in order to track the remaining Hell Priests down. But first he needs a couple things. He travels to Exultia, an old Sentinel city located on Argent Nur, and discovers the casing for the locator in the late King Novik's throne room. The Slayer kneels in respect of the spirit of his fallen king, and Novik has a few words of warning for him. He tells him not to interfere with humanity's destiny, but of course, Doom Guy couldn't care less. Looking for a way to power this artifact, he journeys into Hell and comes across a sentinel named Valen, who, in fact, was responsible for the fall of Argentinur, as he was the one who originally gave up the location of the hidden wraiths, allowing the Khan Maker to begin the refining of Argent energy. Valen was so ashamed of what he did that he banished himself to Hell and threw his name away, calling himself the Betrayer. Valen had revealed the location of the Wraiths through a deal with the Makers to revive his son who had died in battle, but Hell doesn't play fair and decided to reward Valen with turning his son into an icon of sin that was then used in the destruction of Argentinur. Valen powers up the lantern for the Slayer and gives him a special dagger, asking him to plunge it into his son's heart, which is used to control the icon in a final effort to free his soul. With the locator now charged, the Slayer resumes his objective, and the location of the next priest was revealed in a UAC base located within the Arctic Circle. After you kill a bunch of shit, you find Dig Vranek, and he tries to read him. Doom Guy goes back to the fortress, and the Khan Maker fucks with him a bit, messing with his base and taunting him, saying she moved the last Hell Priest somewhere that he would never find. Out of options, the Slayer says, "Hey Siri, how can we figure out how to find the last Hell Priest?" It then tells him to go and revive Samuel's consciousness for the iOS 18 update. So he retrieves Samuel's body and the Crucible to bring them back to the fortress, but before he's able to leave, a new demon type appears called a Marauder, who are former Night Sentinels that sided with the Makers and were resurrected with demonic energy after they died, turning them into demons to continue serving the Makers. After defeating this one, he has Vega upload the consciousness of Samuel into the fortress. He then tells the Slayer the final priest is on Argentinur in the city of Sentinel Prime, a place only accessible through a special type of gate that can only be found in the lost city of Hebeth, located deep beneath the surface of Mars. Now, this part confused me a little bit because I thought Hebeth was a planet that happened to look like Mars, but either way, as we've seen thus far with the Slayer, for him, if there's a will, there's a way. He gangster walks up to Phobos, little broing all the guards and scientists, and then takes control of this massive fucking orbital cannon and blasts a hole into fucking Mars before launching himself in a cannon like goddamn Toon Link from Wind Waker. Anyway, he then takes an escape pod down to the now uncovered city of Hebeth. Finding his way to the aforementioned gate leading to Sentinel Prime, the Slayer is actually greeted by Sentinels who recognize him, chanting those famous words. The priest warns the Slayer that if he kills the priest, he'll lose his sovereignty over all the present Night Sentinels. Then the priest just releases a fucking demon on him. Despite the Khan Maker, King Novik, and even Samuel warning him, once the demon is defeated, the Slayer doesn't hesitate. The Sentinels surround him, but I guess they forgot that he can just fucking make portals with Vega, so... Now that the Hell Priests are dead, Earth's invasion is finally over.
Now I will resurrect the icon of sin.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay. This time, the Khan Maker actually completely fucked his ship, disabling the power entirely. The Slayer then uses the Crucible to restore power to the fortress, but in order to slay a Titan, such as the icon that's being revived, he needs to retrieve his Slayer's Crucible blade that he had left embedded in a Titan he had previously slain in the capital city of Argentinur, Taras Nabad. Samuel warns him that if the blade is taken out of the Titan, it will come back to life, so he has an idea. But his sword is broken now, so how's he gonna kill the... Oh, that's actually just cool as fuck, I can't lie. Anyway, he heads back to the fortress and enters the Maker home realm, Urdok, which no human has ever done before, but he's just built different, obviously. Samuel tells him that in order to get there, he would have to go to a city in Hell that held a particularly important role in the refinement of Argent energy called Necrovol. He installs Vega into his iPhone to bring him with him and heads straight there. This city held a demon that decided which souls were actually used in the process of refinement, acting as a sort of filter. Ascending this massive tower, killing said demon in the process, and reaching the soul extraction chamber, he frees these two titans holding up a pillar at the peak of the citadel, and then proceeds to jump into the exposed Argent energy beam, getting transported. Through these doors, Urdok awaits. Upon arriving to Urdok, you rush forward to stop the Khan Maker from gaining full control over the Icon of Sin. Once you get to the ritual place, the Khan is like, "You can't stop me." And then Doom Guy stabs the fucking heart, like immediately.
I am Mr. Beast. The fog is coming.
Breaking the seal, preventing demons
Fog is coming.
from entering Urdok, all hell breaks loose, pun intended. The Icon of Sin heads to Earth, and you follow after. Before you can go through the portal, though, the Khan Maker tries to stop you one last time. Damn, she freaky. But I kind of like it when they freaky. You make your way back to Earth and take on the Icon of Sin. After completely butchering Bro, you stab the Crucible Blade into his brain, snapping the hilt off and deactivating this fucker at last. After saving Earth, the Doom guy takes a break from all that for about 5 fucking seconds before the DLC Ancient Gods 1 starts. Remember how you just doomed Heaven, aka Urdak? Well, the demons have taken control of it, and they're going to use the place to conquer more dimensions. So, in searching for the Seraphim to learn how to seal Urdak once again, you eventually find his body. Then Dr. Hayden is like, yo, plug me in. Upon which it is revealed what we already know, that Dr. Hayden was of course the Seraphim back in the day who made you a god. After this little detour, Hayden demands you help him return the father to his throne. So you head to the Blood Swamp to find the life sphere for the father. And once you get there, Hayden is like, now give me it. But you're like, yeah, I think I'm gonna crush it. You take the Dark Lord sphere because you want to revive him so you can then kill him, and you head back to the Ark ship where your intern helps you finish the job.
Listen, whatever we do, I'm in. You want to wake the devil not so you can help the demons, it's so you can kill their leader once he's taken physical form, and that'll destroy all of them, for good, right? Okay, I'll take that as a yes.
Going through the portal, you fight Hayden, who is, well, once again, the Seraphim, whatever. But the father TPs him away before you can kill him. So you then revive the Dark Lord and find out that, oh hey, it's you? Question mark? Enter Ancient Gods Part 2. Alright, so you go to the Steeps on Argent Dinur to get something called the Wraith's Crystal from the World Spear to power a gate so that you can get to the demonic city of Emora, which is ultimately where the Dark Lord is waiting for you. On your way, you light a torch that announces that everybody on Argent Dinur is going to need to pretend like they're the Avengers soon. Turns out the World Spear is actually a ship. You grab the crystal, head to the Gate of Divum, activate it, and arrive outside the city of Emora. Avengers assemble? Yay. At last we come face to face with the Dark Lord, surrounded by the orange ghost seraphim things as they watch. Alright, stay with me here. Halfway through the battle, the Dark Lord makes the father reveal that the Dark Lord was actually the original father/creator, and that the current Vega father was actually just one of his first creations, and that they betrayed the original father, the Dark Lord, sealing him and his other creations inside hell. What the fuck, bro? But Doom Guy really doesn't give a shit about any of this at this point. After the Dark Lord gets wounded and asks you if you have anything to say to your creator before killing him, you're just like, no. With that, the demons are wiped off Urdak, Earth, and Argent Dinur. But the Doomslayer falls to his knees and passes out before we see the Seraphim sealing him away inside a coffin once more. And that's pretty much it for the whole Doom story so far. Doom surprised me. After having to absorb the lore of nearly the entire franchise, save for a few titles that the community generally seem to consider non-canon or in separate timelines, I can confidently say that this franchise is starting to rack up a decent amount of lore. Granted, the Dark Ages specifically was a small fry compared to Doom Eternal in terms of sheer story reveals. Nevertheless, if you liked this video, click the like button, and thanks for watching. Alright, now, where to go? I wonder if they make Mountain Dew here. It's very, very green. Hopefully I don't run into Boogie 2988. Yeah, horrible. Alright, well, best get to walking.
Where's my Mountain Dew?
If you want to go on another power trip, check out my Elden Ring video right here. On the other hand, if you just like guns, we have a Call of Duty video summing up the entire story of Black Ops right here. Thanks again for watching, and click on one. Click on one now. Do it. Do it, I know where you live.